Up with KREM begins now.
Good morning. Happy Friday. 6 o'clock here, and we're in that Friday mood.
I know. I heard the day Friday, and I was like, ooh.
Hi, friends. I'm Tim Pham.
And I'm Nicole Hernandez. We got to get Thomas Patrick in on this Friday party over here. Thomas, not only is it Friday, but it's going to be some pretty good weather for the weekend, right?
Yeah, it is going to be hot for the weekend. So if you're preparing for the hot weather, you're going to enjoy this summer weekend. But yeah, the heat is definitely here, and it's here to stay for a while here. The summer days maybe don't feel so fleeting after all. But right now it's nice and cool at 60 degrees now that we're just a few minutes past sunrise. And of course, we're going to have a day filled with sunshine. No change there. Really, the only thing that's happening is it's getting hotter and hotter and hotter day after day. And that trend still doesn't stop. We'll get up to about 90 degrees for today, but it is tomorrow and then beyond is when we get our hottest of days. What you see here in the maroon is the extreme heat watches for northern, central, and southern Washington. These kick in as of tomorrow, but funny enough, already got extended an extra day through Wednesday. So at least 5 days of high heat for the inland Northwest.
Now we're taking a look at traffic this morning. I-90 right near downtown Spokane. You can see we really aren't seeing any major traffic. We're starting to see a few more people head out, a little bit more cars on the road here. Still quite early though. It's 6:02 and we're really not seeing any major backups. Here in I-90 in downtown, things are looking good. And then across the rest of I-90 through the region, we're not seeing anything major as well. An update now on the early morning fires we told you about as breaking news yesterday morning.
KREM 2 News has learned police are searching for a suspect they believe intentionally set 2 fires. Investigators say the fires happened on Riverside in Washington around 2 o'clock yesterday morning. One of those fires damaged the U.S. Bank building. The other happened at the Liberty building. Security footage captured what investigators are calling a dark silhouette at the same location as one of the dumpsters set on fire. If you know anything, call police.
New this morning, we have an update from the organizers of the Tacos y Tequila Festival.
The event was scheduled for this weekend, but has since been canceled because of safety concerns.
KREM 2's Christian Garza has been following this story for weeks now. He's live in the newsroom this morning with a closer look at how this cancellation is affecting our community. Christian?
Yeah, Nicole and Tim, the impact is really twofold. You have the financial loss, but also the loss of a community event meant to share and embrace Hispanic and Latino culture with Spokane. But let's talk about how we got here. Tacos y Tequila had their 5th annual event on the calendar for this weekend. They were handling business as usual, planning the celebration for months, applying for permits, contracting vendors, and preparing for various cultural performances. But last month, the organization that hosts the festival, Nuestras Raíces Centro Comunitario, made the decision to cancel in response to, quote, the current political climate and the increasing anti-immigrant rhetoric that has raised concerns about the safety and inclusivity of our event. New this morning, Jennifer Vigil, the president of the Nuestras Raíces board, tells KREM 2 there was not just concerns community members could be picked up by ICE, but those impersonating ICE.
The safety concern itself is founded. There are folks being abducted and held in custody that are citizens or are here legally. So with that event being out in the open, out in the street, we want our patrons to feel safe and we want them to feel protected, our patrons and our vendors. So in everyone's best interest, we put a pause on it.
Canceling the event means about $70,000 lost in operating revenue. The money from Tacos y Tequila funds social programs for Nuestras Raíces, and the community also brings in money for those vendors. No Lie Brewhouse hosted a fundraiser about 2 weeks ago to help recoup some of the loss in revenue for Nuestras Raíces, inevitably raising $4,400 for the organization. Now, coming up in the next 30 minutes, a look at other ways the organization plans to make up some of those funds and how you at home can help support. Live in the newsroom, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Well, it is move-in day at Gonzaga, so if you're going to be near campus today, it's definitely going to be busy. The school says they are welcoming new students from 31 different states, several tribal nations, and 19 countries. Today is move-in specifically for new students, and then returning students come back to campus this weekend. And this will be the first day students are back on campus since Dr. Katia Passerini took over as Gonzaga's new president.
So Passerini is the school's first female president. Before coming to GU, she worked at Seton Hall University as provost and senior executive vice president. At her introductory press conference, she shared some of her goals for the school. She hopes to make the campus more culturally diverse, support long-term student success, and focus on mental health. She also hopes to grow the local economy, increase enrollment, and graduation rates.
So my first focus will be focusing on what do we do for student success and how can we make it better.
Passerini is the school's 27th president. She follows after Thane McCullough, who retired at the end of last semester. Classes for Gonzaga begin on Tuesday.
Well, there were reports of an active shooter on Villanova's campus yesterday, but it turned out they were false. The school's president said the situation was a, quote, cruel hoax. Yesterday evening, the school sent out a message to students that there were reports of an active shooter at the law school. The Delaware County District Attorney said somebody had called 911 claiming there was an active shooter and at least one victim. But when officers did a sweep of the campus, they didn't find any victim or shooter. Now, law enforcement is doing an investigation. The swatting call at Villanova was the second false active shooter just this week. Yesterday, the University of Tennessee sent a message to their students saying, quote, possible active shooter in University Center or library. Run, hide, fight. Similar to Villanova, officers did not find any threat and lifted the lockdown. All classes and activities are back to normal this morning.
New this morning, drug traffickers accused of smuggling fentanyl into Washington state through airports are now in custody. An 18-month investigation resulted in 9 people being charged across Pierce and King counties. 8 of those suspects are in custody. The FBI says couriers would pick up drugs in other states and smuggle them back in luggage.
At 6:07, here's another look at our weather forecast, where it'll be pretty hot for today, now up to about 90 degrees through the inland northwest. And it doesn't stop there as the weekend. Hotter yet. How about next week? We just keep on climbing temperature-wise. When we look at the nationwide map, it's actually a huge contrast between the fall-like weather for most of the East Coast, welcomed for them, but the one red spot is right over us. And that means we are likely going to have hot and above average temperatures all the way through possibly Labor Day. So it could be 2 weekends worth of hot weather for the inland northwest.
It's a big weekend for Manitou Park. The biannual Friends of Manitou plant sale is tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. This is seriously like a festival for plants. They have a lineup and everything. This year, there will be over 400 different plants, from sun and shade plants to grasses to shrubs. There's a full list of every plant that will be there on the Friends of Manitou website. And if you buy a plant, the money actually goes to a good cause.
So the money that we raise from Manitou, from the sale, all goes towards things in Manitou Park. Like currently, we paid for the water feature to get fixed in Duncan's Gardens because it wasn't working and the city really didn't have the money. So we said, you know what, people really want to see that fountain working, so we paid for that.
If you want to head down to support and take a look at all the plants, they will be in the lot just east of the Geyser Conservatory. And if you're a Friends of Manitou member, you'll actually get 10% off your plants.